The saddest days are met. The saddest days are met.
So, front, got to get through this. Came out 2 weeks ago, Henry, and it was a bestseller in the boxing section. Nick Manners. So he's a guy you knew. You're very familiar with him. Fellow Leeds. Was he super middleweight, kind of light heavyweight? I mean, how good was Nick in the gym? I mean, was he heavy-handed? What was he?
Yeah, good fighter, Nick. Not wrong with Nick. Good fighter.
Yeah.
And not only that, a good lad as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. He come around pretty quick.
Yeah.
So when he got older boxing, it didn't take him long to grasp.
Because he'd never boxed before.
No.
Obviously, he was in Durham prison. He tells a story. Colin's coming up, his brother, and he said basically, Nick, these sentences are getting bigger. And he said, look, what's wrong with you? He said, well, the time's 6 to 9. I'm getting out and I've got nothing to do. And he said, well, come to boxing. So he started bringing the boxing news up. And he looked in the boxing news and he said, well, if I want this boxing business, I want that guy there, Mickey Duff, to manage me, which was absurd, basically, because he'd never even had an amateur fight. And I want that guy there, Mickey Duff, to ref me. Anyway, fair play to Nick, because he got out and he made that happen. But I dare say Nick was probably a late developer. I think he was maybe 19, 20 or something when he got into it. But was he a natural, or because he could hit, couldn't he?
Yeah, we used to do loads around me, Nick.
Yeah.
Along with we all sparred at the same time. It just was what it was. There were never no really wars in our gym. We never really set up on one another. It wasn't like that. But no, and the thing was, when we look back now, Nick come through pretty quick.
Yeah,
he did from the times. I know he went away. I went to abroad somewhere, and he won a gold medal.
Did he?
Yeah, our club took him away. It was like an inter-club thing abroad, Rome or something like that, or wherever it was in the world.
Romania, that was
all.
Yeah,
and he done really well. And then obviously turned pro, and he went through the ranks pretty quick. And yeah, no wrong with Nick. And when you think about that, he won't have had a vast amount of amateur experience. 17 fights. It's nothing. It's nothing. We've just turned a big heavyweight over there. Who's had 14. But so we've got to build in nicely. Yeah. And that's expected. But yeah, Nick didn't do anything wrong.
But of course, he ended up coming up with Calzaghe. Well, the greatest fighter quite possibly ever lived.
Like we said before in the other interviews, the likelihood of you getting the further on, the likelihood is that you're more likely to get beat. It is what it is. And nobody runs to the hills crying.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's the code of boxing. You do what you do. You battle hard. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And I think that's what it is. And I think that's the way Nick took it on. And did we all reach the heights that we should have done? I don't know. Did we go further than we should have done? I don't know.
But it was obviously a fantastic part of your life.
We had a great.
Because Gary sent me some pictures the other day, and I put them on the page, and there was, obviously, you're in the gym together, and you've had some great times. And
the thing is, with it, we still remain friends to this day. Not that we're close, like we live next door, and we live in each other's pockets, but we still respect one another. That's the thing, and we've still got something here for each other because we lived a life together.
And that list I was talking about earlier on, obviously, I think you were the second greatest Leeds fighter of all time. I think Nick made the 9th. Do you know what I mean? So he's obviously.
Well, Jimmy, there were one time, our landlord from our local pub. I know we're talking about pubs, but we're talking, and the man in the street said, and my first ever rating in Europe as an amateur, I was number 15th in Europe. And something like that. Anyway, so the man in the street said to the landlord, he said, Henry's 15th in Europe. So the landlord was, yeah, but 15th? Like, what good's that sort of thing? And the landlord said to him, you're not the 15th best fighter in this street. You're not the best 15th fighter in this street, you lunatic. That's in Europe. Yeah. Anyway, that was just another story.
But Nick tells a story in the book. He said he walked in the same paths, and the first fighter he seen was you. And he said, I don't mind being second fiddle to him because he looks like he knows what he's doing. Obviously speaks really highly of you in the book. I think it was Tony Silkstone was another fighter. I can't remember 91,000 words, and of course Nick can really talk. But he actually says in the book, he said you introduced it to Guinness. He said you told him it was non-alcoholic, and then he was drinking. He got a hangover off it. But front, got to get through this.
More than like, I remember, Jimmy, I went to the doctors one time because I know this is about Nick, but this is where it comes from, Nick. I'm sorry. I went to the doctors and I used to train like twice a day, and difficult to explain that I never really felt like people used to tell me how good fitness felt. I feel on top of the world. I'm fit, and I was fit, and I didn't ever feel like on top of the world because I used to train every day, twice a day. So my body was obviously not at its best. And so I went to the doctor and I explained to him, and the doctor said, well, why don't you have like a pint? You didn't say something like bullshit. Oh, I said that'll do for me.
So did you have one pint a day?
So no, but anyway, I'd have a pint whenever it suited me. But that was where the story come from.
Right.
Yeah, and I didn't do bad from it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
do you still drink it now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's got to be the right pint.
Yeah.
Yeah, Guinness it's got to be pulled off. It's got to be right.
Nick Manners, there you go, mate.
Nick.
The sunniest days are met.